Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a Q&A for you all so that I can answer any questions that you guys have, so you're a bit more clear and sure about who I am and everything about me and stuff like that. So I did put a poll on my Instagram for you guys to answer the questions, so I am just going to go onto there quickly now and look at all the questions and answer them all. So if I go on there now, just going to have a quick look. Okay, so there are quite a lot of questions. So I'll try to get through them all. And just like start at the bottom. I know a few of them are repeated, but yeah, I'm just going to go through them all. First question: what social media platform do you like the best? Probably CapCut, to be honest, because at the moment I'm getting the best views on it, and also I earn money off of that. Instagram I also really like because I do get a lot of views on that, and it's actually more rewarding for the effort, for the edits I put in, and they actually reach out to people and gain new followers and stuff, so it's actually rewarding. TikTok, at the moment we are having a very hate-hate relationship because it is not giving me many views. I'm quite shadow banned, and considering I have 34,000 followers, I'm just not very active at all, so I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok at the moment. I mean, I know videos only over a minute get pushed really, but I just don't have the effort or the energy to post videos over a minute every day. I know Tony does that and Libby does that. Hats off to them, because that I could never. Like, it's so much effort. Why do you love horsemanship so much? Well, that is a good question. I don't know, I just love the idea of a horse being able to be free and work with you while having the choice to leave. So it's them being there and producing movements like that, like really special dressage movements. It's just such a cool idea that they can do it voluntarily and be there. And also it's just a good way to prove to everyone that horses do enjoy work and it's not abuse, because all those Nonna questions are like, oh, it's abusive and stuff like that. So this is just a good way to prove to them. I just really love it. I don't know, it's just really cool. It's only something that you can really like have a connection with if you try it. I definitely can like 99% guarantee that if you try it, you'll definitely really like it too, because it just gives the coolest feeling, especially if you're so used to just riding horses with bits all the time. Having that freedom and just like taking it all off really changes it. So it definitely is just so special. What is my dream job? That is a good question. My dream job is to produce horses. So I know Megan Alphick, she does like, I don't know if I'm pretty sure she still does produce a lot of horses. That would probably be my dream job as well. To bring youngsters, produce them and then sell them on. I mean, my only issue was that I'm too attached to them. That is a dream job, but it is obviously, you have to be very good at it. It's a lot time consuming, very mentally draining, I can imagine, with youngsters. I've never trained up a youngster, but I would definitely love to do it, to work with them in a new way, because I know people don't often work with them through liberty and horsemanship again, so I would love to try that as an approach. And I would just love to do that as my dream job, and like bringing new horses in. What do you want to do as a full-time job? Well, so I know this is kind of the same question, but also I'm going to like answer it slightly differently. So obviously that was my dream job, but what I'm going to do is probably go into marketing a bit, because that's something that I'm quite interested in. I think out of the jobs out there, that is something that I'm most interested in. It's not my dream job or anything, but that is something that I would quite like to do. And I know a job has to be something that you'd like to spend your time doing, and that definitely would. And the reason that I'm going to go into that rather than producing horses is because I don't feel like producing horses, it can definitely give a good income if you're good at it, but it's a bit too risky. Whereas if you go into marketing and like a stable job, you get a set income, and I just like that security a bit more. Not dissing anyone that does do producing horses as a full-time job, like, respect to you, but I would just like that stable income, you know. How old is Boris? Boris is 16. Also, guys, if you want a video explaining everything about all my 3 horses, there is a YouTube video called Introducing You to My Channel, and I explain everything about all 3 horses. But I am just doing this Q&A as well, so if you guys have any questions that are in there, I'm just telling you that, like, if you want to know anything more that I don't answer, then you can watch that video. Okay, so this next question is a question that I got from many people as I was scrolling through. Would you get another horse anytime soon? Okay, so for now, no, because we have 3 horses, and that is a lot of work. I mean, Bosco, most of the time when Nicole's at uni, we don't look after him. We have a sharer that looks after him all the time, but when she goes away, we have to look after him, or Nicole comes down back from uni, but like this weekend, she hasn't, so we're looking after Bosco, and 3 horses is just a lot. It's very time consuming. But there is times, like say when we're at school and my mum's at work, we do pay someone on the yard to look after our horses, just on the days that we can't come down, just do everything. But we are on a DIY yard, so we do it ourselves most of the time. But like when we can come down, but we can pay someone to do it if we can't come down. Anyways, but 3 horses, even 2 horses, is quite time consuming when it comes to riding, especially as I'm in year 11 in my GCSE years, so I've got some really important exams coming up. So for now, I'd say no. But in the future, I definitely do want to get a project horse that I can train up and do some competing on, because Boris is really, really good at dressage, but show jumping and eventing he can't really do, which is what I want to do. I want to be an eventer. Or, I mean, I don't really know what I want to do. I definitely want to try eventing, and I can't try eventing on Boris. But in the future, I do want to buy a project horse that I can train up. Now, this next question is a good question. Would you consider yourself an academic person? I'd say I am fairly academic, without trying to sound all like boasty and showing off. I would say that I am pretty academic. Like, I am aiming for 8s and 9s in my GCSEs. I mean, dream would be all 9s, but realistically, I am aiming for 8s and 9s. In my mocks that I've just done, so I'm in the middle of my GCSE mock periods, they've been going pretty good. I am doing like triple science, so in my school you don't choose which, if you do triple or double, you just get put in one. I did get put into triple. I'm in set 1 maths, set 1 German. I'd say my English class doesn't have sets, but I'd say I'm pretty strong in my English class. So I am aiming to do quite like big, how do I put this? Quite difficult subjects for A-level as well. I wanted to do physics, maths, economics, and further maths, so 4 A-levels. Further maths, the only reason that I'm considering it is because I do want to do something extra to push myself, something that would look good on a CV or anything. But if I do find it too difficult, which I know it is, I can just drop it, which is also a good option. But economics, physics, and maths are also quite difficult in themselves, so I'm going to have a lot of work to do, but oh well, may as well try. Opinions on the Sesame. Now, I used to watch her and used to say that I really liked her, but I think that was mainly because everyone really liked her, so I was like, oh, if everyone likes her, then I must as well. I don't dislike her at all, that's not what I'm saying. But I just don't watch her, personally. I don't dislike her or anything. I don't disrespect anyone that does like her, because, like, why would I? But I think, I don't really watch her very much, but I think she is a very nice person. I know, well, I haven't met her before, but I know my sister has, and apparently she is a very, very nice person. So yeah, I don't really have many opinions on her, because I don't know her very well. But yeah, plans for 2025. Okay, so I do have a few big plans. I want to start, because it's coming towards the end of 2024, I can start this now, but also not, because Boris has just come back from his injury. But I'm planning to step up to elementary dressage. So if you don't know, the order goes intro, prelim, novice, elementary, medium, intermediate, I don't know, I might be wrong, and then like further up, and then the top is Grand Prix, which is like big level. But yeah, so the next level is elementary. Now, intro and prelim is what like dressage test people do if they're not really dressagey but want to try a dressage test. Novice people do tend to do if they're not really dressagey but still do it and they're good at dressage. Elementary, it tends to go when people, it's mainly dressage focused people do it. No really like show jumper focused people do it, or well, eventing people definitely can, and probably most likely will. But it's mainly like, that's when it gets to more specific people that do focus on dressage and want to do dressage. That's one of the things I do want to step up to elementary and start going affiliated, because if you've seen my other show vlogs, then you'll know Boris is very, very good at dressage. He's quite liked by the judges. Even in tests that I don't think go particularly well, he still does really well. Like I get like, the other day in my Halloween dress-up show, I got 71% in the prelim and 70% in the novice, which he did really well at. I personally, when I rode the test, I thought it was good, but I think there were definitely lots of areas for improvement. So considering he got that score, it was very, very impressive. Now, that is not all of my plans for 2025. I'm also planning to try really step up my Liberty game and get Boris a lot better at Liberty, focusing on doing some like bridleless dressage. I mean, I know you can't compete in it, but trying to do some like of that contact work and everything like that at dressage, and everything, just like more Liberty focused work and stuff on the ground as well. So getting him to do some really nice movements on the ground. He is starting to do those nice uphill transitions. I'll put a picture here of the one that he did just yesterday. He did a really, really nice uphill transition, really stepped up into it, and this is really proving to anyone that thinks they're forced into it that they can do it naturally, and it just comes from a place of energy, and just pushing into it. Now, that is the second of my 3 plans. My third plan is to try get Boris back into jumping. Now, he is a super, super jumper. When I say super, super, I don't mean like 120 jumper. I mean, like, I reckon he could probably do an 80 course, maybe 90 at a push, but I'd say that is probably pretty good for a cob. But especially for like a heavier cob, not a sporty cob, because he is a really good jumper. Like the other day, I don't have any videos of this, I didn't post it anywhere, but we did pop one of those poly jumps that reach the top at 95. He did pop those twice really, really easily. So I think he definitely could do a 90 course. Maybe hopefully work up to both on bareback challenge in the future. But I just remember this one course we did at Borough Farm where we did a 70 round and he almost got a clear round apart from a pole, which he never knocks poles. So that was purely my fault. I got really dodgy stride to it and he couldn't have saved me. So basically, in my books, it's a clear round, you know. I swear, we do like a questions, do anything to try say that it would have been a clear round if this, or whatever. Or like I would have won. Anyways, but yeah. So he was really, really good at jumping, and then after that went a bit downhill. I think he probably lost his confidence, and I just like didn't ride him as much. So then that together, it just like slowed down a lot, and then we gave him a 3-month break. And then he came back into it really, really good. But like we'd had 2 proper jumping sessions, and then he went lame for 8 months. And now we're coming back into it. And his first jumping session back, go watch that vlog. He did really, really well, jumping like 80 bridleless. So he did very well. What's been the hardest move to achieve with Boris? I think for him, I haven't achieved it yet, but working on travers, which is, if you don't know, it's basically where it's like the opposite. So if this is the horse going down the track, it's basically the opposite of shoulder in, which is where they put the shoulders in. It's where they put their hind end in. So they're still facing forward. This is really hard to do with my hands. They're still facing forward, but their hind end goes in like that. I don't know if that's really showing you very well. It's a really hard move for me as well as Boris, because they have to be very bendy to do it. And it's just hard to bring it, like introduce it to a horse, I'd say. It's the first steps to doing a to doing a pirouette. So I am aiming towards that because Boris is, again, a really good dressage horse and has such nice paces. But out of the moves I have achieved with him, I'd say, well, I have kind of achieved passage, but I wouldn't say that's very hard. Boris is very good at it. I'm not saying that the move isn't hard, I'm saying that Boris is really good at doing it. I'd say the hardest move for Boris to achieve was probably leg yields, because he just struggles with those, but we are getting there and he's doing really well with them. We need to do a bit of work on them, but yeah. Okay, I know I said I'm answering every question, but if you guys hear that your questions didn't come up, that is because that I've answered them very similarly. So like someone asked, what's your future plans with Boris / riding in general? I've already said my plans with Boris, but for riding, I'd say to become an eventer. So I have many different dreams. To become an eventer professionally, that's probably my big one, or to do Liberty like at a really high level. I know, again, you can't compete in it, but to become like famous like that, that is probably, again, one of the things that I'd really like to do. What made you buy Boris? Did you try many before him? Boris, at the time, we were just looking for a happy hacker, something really safe for my mum to ride and for me to ride as well. And he just ticked all the boxes. He was really, really well behaved. His last owners had him for 9 years, so they had him for such a long time. But yeah, no, so we got him as like a safe horse, and he was super good and didn't realise the potential he had, to be honest. He is like so good. And we only tried 2 horses before him. He was the third one we tried. We tried a horse that wasn't quite right for us because I was 12 years old at the time, so not very confident rider. I had only been riding for, 5 years? Okay, that sounds like a long time. But considering I'd only ridden once a week before that, I wasn't a very confident rider. So, or not even once a week, like Joey I rode once a week for like 3 years, 2 years, but no, 3 years. But again, not very much, not enough to improve massively. So, yeah, so we tried 2 before him. So this one was very, very strong, and I didn't even get on it in the end because I was just too nervous. I didn't want to risk anything. I wasn't very confident at the time. Nicole rode it first, so yeah, I just wasn't a fan. And this other one was, again, super strong. It was very sensitive to your seat. So as soon as you like leaned forward, it would go, or like leaned back, it would stop. Like you'd have to stay perfectly still. There was one moment where it tanked off with me, not properly, just like a really fast canter around the school, and they were like, pull it back, and I was like having the best time. Like I was like going along. It was really fun. I enjoyed every second of that one. But yeah, so those 2 we didn't buy just because they were a bit too bold for us, but they were really nice. How many horses have you had in your life, including sharing and loaning and everything? I'm pretty sure we've had 6. I could be missing some or counting it wrong, but I'm pretty sure we've had 6. So we obviously own our 3 now. We've loaned this other horse, we shared another horse, and shared this other one. So I think 6 in total, including sharing and owning. What's your favourite thing to do with Boris? That's a tough question. I think probably cross country when he does it well, because there's certain days when he does cross country, or even jumping for that matter, when he just drags me to all the jumps, and it's such a nice feeling, honestly. Like, compared to him normally, who like slows down and stops at jumps, him dragging me to jumps for a change is so nice. How long have you had Boris? 3 years. So it's the 24th today, so literally 11 days ago. No, not 11, sorry, what am I on about? Yeah, 11 days ago is when our anniversary for 3 years was. Future goals with Boris, I think I've answered that one. What made you get into dressage? To be honest, the fact that Boris can't do anything else. I think the fact that he refuses at jumps, and also, again, he is a cob, he's a heavy breed. And he won't go through water for eventing, and he's good at dressage, so that's probably it. And also, I've always been told that I'm good at dressage because of my posture is really good, naturally. Where did you get Boris? So this is a funny story. Basically, we first initially found him, when Nicole found him, on Facebook. If you don't know who Nicole is, by the way, she's my sister. Nicole found him on Facebook as a loan, and she just scrolled right past him because we were looking to buy a horse of our own. So she just scrolled past him. He came back up a few days later for sale. So then we found him on Facebook for sale. I think it was Facebook. It might have been Horse Quest or something. But yeah, will you do any show jumping competitions with Boris? That is the aim, because when he's good at it, he's good at it. Well, I mean, I'm not expecting any rosettes, but just for fun, he is good at it. Joey or Bosco? That is a tough question. Bosco is obviously better as a ridden horse. I mean, partly because Joey can't be ridden because he's lame and everything, permanently lame. But Joey we've had for 6 years now, I'm pretty sure. That is a tough question. I can't answer it. Bosco is technically my sister's horse. I've ridden him a few times and taken him to camp. I've grown really attached to him, but have had Joey for 6 years, and I've learnt so much on him. So I think I'm going to leave that as an unable to answer question. Do you do any sports other than riding? In primary, I used to do about 10 or 11 sports a week. That's not even an exaggeration. I did a sport every single day, and some days I did them twice a day. Like I'd do a sport before school, after school. And then I think there was one day where I did 2 sports after school. I don't know, I did a lot of sports. But currently, at the moment, I only do horse riding. You may have seen a few of my occasional videos where I did do athletics with my school. I did high jump as my main one, and then hurdles, which my teacher always put me into. And I would have been good if I actually trained, because I can jump and I'd say I'm a fast runner. But I did high jump. That is something I will admit that I'm pretty good at, because I did win like most of my competition. My PB, personal best, is 1.55 m, and I think I would have been able to reach 160 this season we just had if it wasn't for my mental block. And I was going to get back into it outside of school in a club, but we just never got around to doing that. And then I used to do netball with the school. Again, never got into a club. How long have I been riding for? So technically I have been riding for 8 years, but there was a year I had off riding pretty much when Joey was lame, so 7 years. And then I've only been riding properly sorry, I've done a lot of talking. Properly for the past 3 years with Boris, because before that I only rode like maximum once a week. So I only started properly riding 3 years ago. Does your family also ride? My mum rides, yes, she rides Boris, she hacks him out. Nicole rides, obviously, Bosco. And my dad doesn't ride. And my other sister, she has occasionally ridden. The last time she rode Bosco. She was sitting on him. He did a slight spook, and she's very jumpy. She screamed, and he spun around, and Nicole was holding on to him. So he spun around and then turned on the spot, and then she fell off the slide. And to be fair, he's 17 two hands, so that is quite a long way to fall. But other than that, no. How did you get into riding? Probably the fact that my sister rode, because they just tried it out with me. I think I was just seeing Nicole ride. I was interested. I think Leona used to ride as well with Nicole, but Nicole was the one that actually continued it. Leona does music. How many more questions do I have? Oh, that is a lot of questions. Okay, I'm going to try to get through these a bit quicker, because yeah, that is too many. I've done about a third of them. Okay, anyways. Yeah, so probably from my sister. How did you decide to get into YouTube? Seeing other people's YouTube channels and wanting to do that. I think probably being famous is something that I also really want. I know a lot of people want that. I do kind of want to be famous. So when did you start riding, and Boris was your first horse? I've already said that I started riding, but Boris is not our first horse. He is our 3rd owned horse, and our 6th ever horse out of all the loans and shares. What is your riding journey? I think I've basically touched upon that. Obviously started with shares, riding every other week, once a week. Joey, again, rode once a week. Even when we rode Bosco, Nicole wouldn't let me ride more than once a week. And then when I started with Boris, I rode more than once a week. Tell us about Boris. Height, he is 14'2", age 16, breed cob. Favourite thing to do is probably Liberty. He loves Liberty. Will you ever get another pony? Answered that. Or your goals? Answered that. How tall is Boris? 14'2". Favourite discipline for me, cross country when Boris is good at it. Do I want to do dressage or show jumping? It really depends on the mood I'm feeling on that day. On a day like this, I'm feeling show jumping. On other days, I feel very dressage-y. Will I ever sell Boris? No, I can't. He is my heart horse. That sounds really cringy to say on camera. He is my heart horse and I couldn't. But if he were to go anywhere, he'd be going back to his old owners. We wouldn't be selling him because I just can't do that. Like, I want him ideally to stay with us for a forever home. But obviously circumstances with money or space or anything, it's a bit difficult. Any tips on walk to canter? I can't really give much advice with that because I'm not very good at it myself. But I'd say one of the tips that my instructor gave me is to do it slowly. What I tend to do is like rush into it. So like go from a calm walk and be like, come on. But you want to do it calmly and just work on it. Just practice and experiment, see what works. Why did you decide to start doing Liberty? Seeing what can be done with Liberty, seeing how happy they can be, everything like that, seeing what can be achieved. It's just really cool. It opens up a bunch of opportunities. Is Boris cuddly? Yes, he is such a cute horse. Oh my god, he is the most people person. That was the other day when I was going on my bridleless hack, and obviously like I can control him if it comes to like the pace, but if it comes to either grass or people, I cannot control him. If there is a person, like there was a person standing at the side waiting for us, and Boris just went off track and just went over to the person. I was like, I'm sorry. But he is a very people person, and sometimes what he does when I'm plaiting him, he'll lift his head up and put it on my shoulder. I don't know why he does that, but he does, and it's really sweet. How many horses do you have? 3, and do you keep them at home? No, I wish. That would be so much easier. We keep them at a yard it's only a 10-minute drive away from us. Would you event Boris eventually? If he went through water, I would love to. What was the thing that made you want to start doing Liberty? I've answered that, and who helped you start? Probably Nadine. I'm not entirely sure how to say her last name. I'll put her username up there. She does some really, really incredible Liberty stuff, and she definitely inspired me to start that. Everything about Boris, just how good of a horse he is. Like, I've never met a horse so well behaved. He is just, honestly, just so good. Like, like I said, I can go on bridleless hacks with him, and he's just perfect. He's just such like a safe horse. What camera/video equipment would you recommend? So I am using the Sony ZV-1 camera. That's what I'm filming on currently. It's really good quality and really easy to use. I really like it. And I would recommend a microphone as well. Get one off Amazon. My dream would be those Rode microphones, but they're very expensive and I can't currently afford one, but hopefully in the future. If you're trying to teach your horse to bow and you don't think your horse is enjoying training, do you carry on? So this is something that I should have probably been more aware of when I was training Boris to bow. It's obviously not that he didn't enjoy it. He tolerated it. He didn't dislike it. But I think there are definitely ways that you can change it so that your horse does enjoy it. Like treats is a #1 thing. Lots of breaks, doing it in short periods. It can make it really enjoyable for the horse. Doing it when they're ready and not rushing them or anything, not forcing them, allowing them time to think. All of those can contribute to them enjoying something a bit more, 100%. But if your horse is really not enjoying that, even with everything, then don't carry on. You don't want to force your horse and create a stressful environment for them. Can you do riding dares? Yes, I can definitely do that. How long did it take to teach bridleless? Probably a few months. I'm not entirely sure. I do have a tutorial on that, by the way. Is Joey still with you? Yes, he is, but not ridden. How many horses do you own? 3. Will you be getting any more? Answered that. When you started riding? Answered that. Favourite thing about Boris? Answered that. Who's your favourite singer? Probably Lana Del Rey, but my favourite song at the moment is Sailor Song. You might have been able to tell based on how many times I've used it, but Sailor Song is my favourite song. Can you name one of your fan pages? I think Sasha's Cheeky Ponies is one of them. Who's one person you'd love to collab with? Oh, that's a tough question. I genuinely don't know. I think Harlow would be really fun to collab with, because she's like obviously really like down for riding dares and stuff like that. I think she'd be really fun. What are you most looking forward to in your future with Boris? More Liberty stuff. I'm really excited to progress with that. What's the biggest you ever jumped? 120 on Bosco. What kind of saddle do you have? It's it is all-purpose GP. I get a lot of comments on it saying it looks like a dressage saddle. You can get GP saddles that are more dressage cut or more show jumping cut, and his is more dressage cut. What kind of saddle is it, like what brand? I'm not entirely sure. We did get given it from the old owners, but all it says is this is what I find quite funny, it's just AH. But yeah, that's what it is. Okay, any tips? Guess I've lost the ability to speak. Any tips to teach your horse to be softer on the bit? This is 1,000% something I need to work on. I find myself getting too heavy in the hands, and I really, really need to work on it because it is not good. So I am aware of it. So I definitely really, really want to work on teaching myself to have a bit of softer hands, because I do tend to get quite harsh on my hands, because if I feel Boris, because it kind of works as like a, what's the word, chain effect. I think there's a word for it, but it's kind of like a chain effect. So Boris can be really soft, but then I'll naturally have quite harsh hands because I'm trying to get him in a contact, but obviously the wrong way, because I shouldn't have harsh hands if it's a contact. And then he'll start like lifting his head up because my hands are harsh, and then I'd be even harsher, like to try to get his head back down. Not like forcefully in that way. Basically, I'm making it sound worse than it is, but I would like my hands to be a bit softer, because I tried this out the other day, and just by basically letting my hands be still, and he did pretty much drop into a contact himself. Not like properly, like I did have to occasionally reinforce it, but he did drop into a contact really nicely, so I need to work on that. In the contact, he's a bit heavy on the hands as well, so he gets unbalanced and like leans on it a bit, so then I do have to use my hands slightly more just to lift him up and help balance him a bit. So once that muscle builds and he gets a bit stronger, he won't have that as much. And also when he gets tired, it's the same thing. So for any tips for teaching your horse to be softer, I would just say make sure your hands are soft, make sure they're pushing forward, because if your horse is lazy, they're never going to be properly pushing from behind. So make sure they're moving forward and are engaging their hind end. To do this, I occasionally tap Boris on the bum with a whip, just to because tapping with the whip is almost like locating where you want them to use more. So by tapping them on the bum, it's kind of like, that's the part that I want you to use more of your body. So get him to engage his hind end more. And then, just like have your hands slightly softer, occasionally squeeze the rein. I'd always keep a consistent outside rein as well. Because they need to be able to be held in the outside rein, and you can move the inside rein and they don't lose the contact. Those are just a few tips, but I don't want to give the wrong advice because it's different for every pony. Is Boris my dream pony? See, in some aspects he is, in terms of, because if for a horse to be your dream pony, they have to be able to do your dream, and if my dream is being an eventer, then no, he's not. But in terms of liberty and doing dressage at liberty, I think yes, because he can do that stuff and he's proving it. And obviously we're at the start of our journey, we can't do it yet because we've only recently just started. But in terms of how he's going so far, I'd say, for liberty, he's my dream pony for liberty, but because he's also so safe, but not for other stuff. Plans for 2025, answered that. Favourite thing to do with Boris, I think I answered that. I said cross country, but I do also really enjoy liberty with him. Would you buy a new pony? I answered that. Do you think you'll be famous like Harlow? I think because there's so many people competing to try be famous in the horse world, probably not. But I do aim to be that famous because she is really famous. Everyone's asking, are you getting another horse? Riding tips for cantering. I'd say lots of stirrupless work. I wouldn't do it too much, especially if your seat's not too good, but occasionally do a bit of stirrupless work. What always really helped me so you need to sit deep, and what always really helped me is visualizing it by imagining my hair is tied to the back of the saddle, almost like holding you back, and just visualizing stuff really, really helps get that final result. So visualize that you're being almost tied to the saddle, and it will really help. But just practice. Honestly, it comes with time, but stirrupless definitely helped me a lot. I used to do this exercise where my old instructor would have Joey on the lunge, so this was years ago, and she would control his pace and everything, and it was just I just focused on me, not him. So I fully focused on me, and I do exercise like stirrupless, no hands, cantering around, and that really helped. If I could be sponsored by any brand, which one would it be? That is a really good question. I genuinely don't know. Lumière's quite a good one to be sponsored by, obviously, because they do really nice products. That is a really hard question. I think Equestrian Stockholm, they're also, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, they also have really nice stuff. Their saddle pads are super nice. Anyways, not sure about that one. If you could be any type of horse for a day, which one would you be? That is a good question. I think probably like a warm blood, because they are such good like all-rounders, sporty and everything. I don't know, that's a tough one. Riding tips. Well, that's a broad category. For that one, I'm not entirely sure. In terms of like trying to improve your riding, I'd say experimenting. I do talk about that in tomorrow's post, Monday 26th post. Experimenting is something that I do talk about in the caption, but that one's tough. It's just practicing, like finding out what works, what doesn't. Top 3 favourite horse breeds. Again, a really hard question. It depends what it's for, if it's like for actual riding or in terms of like a specific category or looks. I really do like, that is such a hard question. I genuinely don't know. The Spanish horses, the Lipizzaner ones are so nice. Top 5 fave songs. I've already said Sailor Song is my favourite song. After that, I'm not entirely sure. I really like Born to Die, Lana Del Rey. There's a few Arctic Monkey songs I really like as well. I don't know. Hard questions, guys. Long term and short term goals. Short term, getting Boris to do some elementary, should hopefully be doing one in a few weeks. Long term, getting him back at show jumping and really doing a lot of liberty work, like dressage liberty work. So stuff like piafs and like collected canter at liberty. Do you think any horse can do liberty? Yes. I know I haven't really experimented with other horses, but from seeing the amount of people able to do liberty with so many different horses, especially people like Ben Atkinson, he does liberty with like tons of different horses. I think any horse can do liberty. What made you want to start liberty or bridleless? I've answered that. Tips to improve flat work. I've kind of answered that. That's kind of just like practice and experimenting, seeing what works. How long have I been riding for? I think I've answered that. How old is Boris? 16, so he's getting a bit older, but he hasn't had too much of a busy life, so I'll finish the video there. I hope I answered all your guys' questions. If you didn't see my Instagram, then comment any more questions down below and I'll answer them. If not, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got all the way to the end, then put a horse emoji. Just see who watches it to the end. I know not a lot of people would, because fair enough, but yeah, so thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in next week's vlog. Crazy.